We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So I got this article here from the Post Millennial that I have to talk about because it reminds me of the article written by Time Magazine, The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election. This was actually written February 4th, 2021, and it is basically an admission of how, well, here, I'll just read you a little bit. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and AFL-CIO published on Election Day. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. They came together and burned cities down to keep the peace, right? But what they admitted there is that the left-wing activists conspired with CEOs, with business titans, left-wing activists and business titans in an informal alliance.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
The handshake between businesses and labor was just one component of a vast cross-partisan campaign to protect the election, an extraordinary shadow effort dedicated not to winning the vote, but to ensuring it would be free and fair, credible and uncorrupted.
You guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together,
for more than a year, a loosely organized coalition of operatives scrambled to shore up America's institutions as they came under simultaneous attacks from a remorseless pandemic and an autocratically inclined president. Though much of the activity took place on the left, it was separate from the Biden campaign and crossed ideological lines. With crucial contributions by nonpartisan and conservative efforts, the scenario the shadow campaigners were desperate to stop was not a Trump victory. It was an election so calamitous that no result could be discerned at all. A failure of the central act of democratic self-governance that has been a hallmark of America since its founding. But back to this post-millennial article, which is from today. Revealed, prominent anti-Trump pundits have been holding weekly meetings to take down Trump. I mean, kind of come to expect that with all the indictments and all the stuff that Trump's been facing in court lately, but now we have an admission, right? Let's read more of this article. A new article out from Politico reveals that a select group of lawyers and legal pundits have been working behind the scenes to quash Trump's second term using the media. They've been sharing narratives, honing points, and working together to intellectually stress test the arguments facing Trump on his journey through the American legal system. These articles already sound familiar. The names of those who have been at these meetings are far too familiar, and their tactics mirror those undertaken in 2020 to manipulate media to sway the presidential election in Biden's favor. Every Friday on Zoom calls with congressional staffers for J6 committee members to coordinate their narrative about Trump and the lawfare directed at him. Every Friday, they meet on Zoom to hash out the latest twists and turns in the Trump legal saga and intellectually stress test the arguments facing Trump in his journey through the American legal system. The meetings were not recorded and were off the record. Those in attendance have various media affiliations. The host of the meetings, Norm Eisen, was a senior member of the Obama administration and has actively worked to get attorneys who worked with Trump during his White House term disbarred. He worked on the first impeachment trial of Trump in Congress and claims that Trump and not Biden will weaponize government against his opponents. even though Biden has already weaponized the government against his opponent. But Eisen was also the co-founder of the DC-based nonprofit that brought the case to remove Trump from the Colorado ballot. Who's paying this guy, right? Bill Kristol, Lawrence Trude, John Dean, George Conway, founder of the Lincoln Project, who famously encouraged E. Jean Carroll to sue Trump over absurd 30-year-old sexual assault allegations in order to sell more of her books, Andrew Weissman, who served as a prosecutor on the Mueller-Russia collusion case, Jeffrey Toobin, who famously exposed himself on a work Zoom call, and other media personalities were all party to these calls. I wonder if Toobin turned his camera on or not. The group of leftist legal commentators has been meeting weekly for about 2 years to strategize about how to bring Trump down using the media, said Jeff Clark, who has been a target of Eisen's. An attorney for Carroll came on the call to talk about how she won. Another time, Michael Ludig, who fought to keep Trump off the ballot using the spurious 14th Amendment charge, came on to talk about his varying success, which he wasn't successful at keeping Trump off the ballot. But Jeff Clark posted on X, I called it. A group of leftist legal commentators has been meeting weekly for about 2 years to strategize about how to bring Trump down using the media. Let's actually just go ahead and pull up his post here on X. A group of leftist legal commentators has been meeting weekly for about 2 years to strategize about how to bring down the media. Oh, yeah, we saw that already. I even coined a term for the phenomenon, quote, journal lawfare, as my followers will be well familiar with. This Politico article admits it. Just like the Moneyball Time article about how they fortified the 2020 election, they always have to brag about what they're trying to do to kill off Trump. Just some of the participants listed here: Tribe, Westman, Kristol, Conway, John Dean, Toobin, not pictured, Ludig. Okay, back to the article. Politico writes that some members of the group were understandably anxious about the story coming to publication. Their reason? Trump has claimed there is legal conspiracy against him, and there is a risk that news of a group such as this could give Trump and his allies an attractive target. The group bears similarities to the one that was extant in 2020, about which group members bragged following their victory in bringing Biden to office. Time magazine's Molly Ball revealed at the time there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes during the final throes of the election season, in which corporations, media, and the American left intentionally curtailed the protest and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. That's the Time article that I showed you in the beginning. They were so proud of their project to collude with media forces to skew coverage of the election and unify behind an anti-Trump narrative that they wrote and published about their efforts. And they did too. The examples are they kept Hunter Biden laptop out of the news, amongst a few other things. But, that was a big one. A lot of people said that had they known about that laptop before they voted, they wouldn't have voted for Biden. So that alone right there could have been what won the election for Biden. But now a similar cabal has undertaken the same kind of project. Even some of those who take part in the call are worried that the existence of the call itself runs the risk of creating an impression that there is an agreement or cooperation or conspiracy across mainstream media entities that could feed into some false and damaging perceptions, and particularly on the right. Which I agree with, and if you agree with, please share this video so more people can find out what they're doing. What in that source's view would be considered false and damaging, however, may be, by their own admission, simply accurate. While Politico reports that some on the call brushed aside the notion that it's intended to devise talking points or strategy to take down Trump as part of a bid to send him to prison or derail his presidential campaign, yet Trump and Trump's legal woes are the reason for the virtual gathering in the first place, and the group is united by their dislike of Trump. And so to counter this, we need to unite in our like for Trump. I'm not claiming that he's perfect, but he is by far the very best candidate that we have going into this election here in November. And I encourage you to consider voting for Trump, but at the same time, not just vote for Trump, but learn who your local leaders are, who your state representatives are, who your senators are, the people that you vote for that go up to Washington and make decisions for you on your behalf, as well as find out who the best candidate is for mayor, find out who the best candidate is for governor. Go and vote for those people. Get rid of the lifelong politicians. And the longer they're in the same position, the more corrupt they can potentially be. Lobbyists don't tend to sink as much money into a person for power that's going to be replaced every 2 years, every 4 years. But if they know that person's going to be there for a decade or 20 years or something like that, they feel more confident in doing favors. So to prevent that, be knowledgeable about who you're voting for and elect the people that best represent you, not a virtue signal, not a cult, but your life individually, the people that most align with your beliefs. And it's worth doing the research and finding out who these people are. And for those of you who don't necessarily trust the voting system, definitely don't leave boxes unchecked. Make sure you vote in every category. And make sure, like I said, that you are informed of the candidates that you're voting for. With that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do appreciate you guys watching to the end. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this one. Share this one. We need this information to actually spread far and wide. A lot of people don't know about the Time magazine article that happened in 2020, and people are only just now finding out about the current shadow campaign to save this election, right? Air quotes there. Anyways, guys, have a good day. See you in the next one.
We're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.